You are listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network.
وتكلم هناك لشوارشتايجر
Va a pegarle Ronaldinho Gaucho. Ya lo hace. Pierna derecha, directo al arco. ¡Golazo! 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 ¡Golazo!
This is Soccer Today, live on SPN Radio, your new live show about the beautiful game in all its glory, with Duane, Rollins and Kevin Laramee. MLS, EPL, La Liga, Champions League, all is fair game. Powered by the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit us at sportspodcastingnetwork.com.
And good day, good night. Welcome to Soccer Today. I am Kevin Laramee. Duane Rollins is on assignment today. Speaking of assignment, another coach has changed assignment in Major League Soccer. Adrian Heath, former head coach of the Orlando Soccer Club, no more. Last night it was announced, it was firstly announced by Matthew Doyle on MLSsoccer.com that it was a mutual agreement, a parting of ways, and it's the second time this season that we have seen club and their coaches, quote-unquote, amicably part ways. Owen Coyle with Houston and Orlando now with Adrian Heath. Is it really mutual parting of ways? It's hard to tell, hard to know. If we're not the actual parties involved, we weren't present in that discussion. It'll be interesting to see who takes over. A couple of assistants as left as well. With Adrian Heath, now the head coach of Orlando CDB, will be taking the reins in a interim until they find a permanent replacement. But for Orlando, it's not necessarily easy, and it comes after a tough defeat against FC Dallas 4-0. Is it a coincidence? Is it hard to tell? Interesting as well. Orlando moving in a different direction. On the show today, it's open lines all day today. Give us a call, 778-400-7761. Talk about Orlando. Talk about what's next. Who's next? Good question by Cal Nawatney, one of our great supporters for a long time. Cal, it's a good question. Who's next? You know, a couple of clubs are not having good season, but do I expect like the Chicago Fire to make a coaching change? Not really. It's kind of hard to make a coaching change when the top of the East is like 6-9 points away. Not that far, so it's attainable. In the Eastern Conference, I don't necessarily expect another change of coach. You're looking at the Western Conference, maybe there. It could be interesting there when you're looking at how the standings look and which team had some great potential at the beginning of the season and not necessarily having it. For me, it's Seattle. We predicted early this season on the Two Solitudes and 2S Extra that for us, Seattle was going to be a team that didn't necessarily address their needs in the last market. Are they going to do so now? They had more going out than coming in, and it's showing on the pitch. Is it time now for Sigi Schmidt to change a little bit of his ways? Maybe MLS outgrew Sigi. That's a possibility. And 17 points out of 16 games played in Major League Soccer just doesn't cut it. It's just not good enough for Seattle. So that's interesting. So if you ask me who's next to lose their job in Major League Soccer, I don't know if it's going to be a mutual parting of ways. Could be between Sigi and Seattle. I don't know. But right now, what I do feel like is Seattle's on a hot seat now. Sigi's bench, Sigi's scarf is getting hot. Needs some result quickly. Otherwise, he will be probably, maybe, the next coach to lose his job. I was going to mention Houston, but they already changed and hasn't really changed anything. And it's one topic that we talked about sometimes here on the show. It's that famous coach bump when a team changes manager. Optically speaking, there's a coach bump because usually there's a win after. But as a whole and statistically speaking, it's a non-issue. It doesn't exist. There's no coach bump. It's usually the same thing going, if not, gets worse. The only example, maybe the outlier in this rule, was maybe Montreal last year, but it was more than just a coach change. It was a coach change, there was a mentality change, and there was the presence of Didier Drogba. All those things together made a coach bump from Mauro Biello last year. This season, it's a little tougher. But if you're looking at teams like Seattle and even Portland, what they're like only because of tiebreakers are not in the playoffs. So it's hard, still too early to fire a coach for those reasons. But in Orlando, they felt like they needed to make a change. They felt like they needed to go forward and have another direction. Maybe tactically speaking, the way they've evolved since joining MLS wasn't where they wanted to be. Maybe they feel that with the team they have right now, with a Kaka, with a Cal Laren, which is maybe again this year one of the best young players in this league, rookie of the year in 2015. So it's interesting there. But again, do I believe that it's the coach that changes everything? Orlando is in a tricky situation because they're 20 points. They're seventh in the East. Tiebreaker only difference between them and Toronto. They could be in the playoff fairly easily. But with performances like we've seen against Dallas, where there was a non-issue, a jour sans, if you are a cycling fan, a cycling expression here during the Tour de France, of course, you know, Dallas is a good team, and they exposed Orlando in a way. And Orlando felt like they needed to do a change. And I guess Adrian Heath felt like he needed a change. So that is for Orlando. We'll see where it goes from here because Orlando have in the weekend upcoming against Houston. So Friday, tomorrow, against Houston on the Friday night game available on 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Unimas. Press that SAP button if you don't speak Espanol. For me, that game will be telling because Houston is a team ripe for the taking. But if Houston goes to Orlando and puts a couple past the keeper and gets that victory, doesn't even look good for Orlando. So injuries and form fitness and Kaka hasn't been the same. All those things combined explain where Orlando is. And it's interesting to me that maybe Adrian Heath didn't tactically adjust accordingly to make this team where it should be. Because now when you're looking at the partnership forever will be linked between those two teams. You know, New York City FC and Orlando came into Major League Soccer at the same time. So they have a certain bond, a certain relationship, rivalry, or just like a link between those two. Right now, New York City FC is top of the Eastern Conference, 30 points in 19 games played, 4 wins in a row, including the one last night against the New England Revolution at Foxborough. New York City FC 1, New England 0. Frankie Lampard. You heard correctly. Super Frank is making us eat our words from earlier this year, contributing, being not the difference maker, but the poacher, the finisher, the guy who's there when you don't expect him to be and he scores what he knows how to do, basically. Frankie Lampard finally showing up in 2016 for New York City FC and get some results. Yeah, last week it was close to 2 weeks ago, it was close to a hand or like a shoulder, but it was the chest. Frankie scored with his chest. This time around with the upper thigh and almost like the hip. Shoots from the hip. That's what Super Frank does. Shoots from the hip. 1-0. New York City FC last night to solidify their spot top of the Eastern Conference. Philly, not far away, 26 points in 30 games in and 4 points difference. So 30 for New York City, 26 for Philly. They have 1 game in hand for Philly. Montreal is third. So there's a small gap now. New York City, with their 4 wins in a row, have created the one thing that didn't exist in the Eastern Conference so far this year. That's a gap on top because everybody looked at each other like, okay, no, you go for it. No, you go. No, you go. Come on. You go. You take the lead. No, you take the lead. New York City decided to take the lead. 4 wins in a row. Looking better and better. Names on the score sheet like Pirlo, Lampard, Villa, surfacing more and more. Vila's been surfacing for the entire year, to be quite honest. Probably the MVP this year so far. But Lampard and Pirlo getting to be influential. We're in July now. What does it say? Well, it's starting to be the time where you need to put your team in a momentum type of fashion to cruise and get constantly growing and better in form and fitness and confidence heading into the playoff. It's now. Are they peaking too early? Maybe. That's a possibility. They could be peaking too early. Who knows? But for New York City FC, they're doing better than anticipated. They're doing a lot better than they even themselves would have. Is it because of Coach Vieira, Patrick Vieira? Is it the same? It's just that the difference between last year and this year. Early this season, they were struggling. They were bottom dwellers, and something changed. They started to score goals. They started to play as a team. They started to be a little bit more organized defensively. And they started to get result at home because, quite honestly, they never got result at home before the last couple of weeks because they were not a team set up to play in a small pitch. And that's what they have, a small pitch. And I don't know why they built a team that wasn't able, and not necessarily able. Like, they're all able, but I mean, they're not built in a way that to shine in the conditions of a small pitch with a different type of football playing. So that is possible. But the fact that New York City FC is first in the Eastern Conference right now, with 4 points ahead of their closest rival heading into the games of the weekend, gives New York City FC a confidence boost that, you know what, maybe he's right. If we continue to listen to the coach like we have been over the last few weeks, and we're getting result, maybe he's saying something true. Let's continue in that vein. And when you have players like Vila, Lampard, and Pirlo now contributing for your team in a positive way, well, you get result. So good on you, New York City FC, for making us all eat our crow. We'll be right back. And when we back, we'll be talking about Lionel Messi, maybe on his way to Chelsea.
You are listening to Soccer Today, live on SPN Radio. Visit sportspodcastingnetwork.com for more.
And we're back here on Soccer Today. I am Kevin Laramee. The lines are open. Give us a call to talk about, well, guess what? To talk about soccer. 778-400-7761. That is 778-400-SPN1. Rumor that started to be spread in the last few hours, more last night, well, early in the wee hours of the morning. Amidst all the controversy of the fraud charges against Lionel Messi and his arrested suspension, well, there seemed to be some movement talk as well from Lionel Messi. Apparently, Chelsea is behind the scenes prepping and dealing with Barcelona to put a bid and a transfer bid for Lionel Messi. Maybe we'll see the small lion playing for the Lions. That could be interesting. Maybe at the bridge, This is a possibility. When you have a team like Chelsea that does have a lot of money, that do need to do something different than last year, and imagine the combination of Eden Hazard and Lionel Messi could be quite interesting. Is it a possibility? Is it real? Is it for real? Could it happen? Would a Pep Guardiola have something to say about this and trying to bring Lionel Messi to maybe more of a blue side of Manchester? Could be, but the talks are close to happening between Chelsea and Barcelona. Well, that's interesting because, well, we have the controversy now, the whole Argentina Football Association, how it's in shambles right now. Tato Martino, Martina resigned, and now there's a chance that he won't even be in the Olympics. And if Argentina is not going to the Olympics, guess who's taking their spot? Yeah, US. The U.S. men's national team U23 could be the one team called upon to take over the spot of Argentina in the upcoming Olympic soccer tournament for Rio 2016. If the state of the Argentinian Football Association continues to be the way it is, they won't send a team to Rio. They won't. So then what's happening? Well, you need somebody in their place. And who else should the world of soccer called upon last minute to take a spot? Well, one of the last teams that were eliminated in the tournament and the last team that didn't qualify, which is the United States. Would be interesting. It would be great for the development of the young players of this program to go to the Olympics and measure themselves against the elite of the world of U23 plus 3 overage players. So that is a possibility. So if the AFA doesn't get his act together, maybe the United States will be beneficially involved and have their say and their presence in Rio in the men's Olympic tournament. Yesterday, we saw Portugal in the Euro 2016 semifinal, the first of the two. Second one is today, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. TSN in Canada. Guess ESPN in the States, but I'm not too sure it's ESPN in the States, to be quite honest. Portugal 2, Wales 0. Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal were able to get the victory. 2 goals in the span of 3 minutes to seal the fate of Portugal in the final of the Euro. First presence in the final of the Euro. And for Portugal, it is a performance, probably their best of the whole tournament. A team that didn't really look that great coming into the semifinal, having needed extra time and penalties to get a spot in the semis. And that's not even talking about the Croatia game where they needed a goal at the 116th minute by Quaresma to tie it up in a god-awful game. This time around, they played their best game. They took advantage of their shot. Cristiano Ronaldo, 50th minute, jumped 7.5 feet high to head a ball so hard that there was no chance at all that the goalkeeper would have stopped it. That happened, 1-0. And then again, Cristiano Ronaldo gets the ball, shots. He's close. He's actually like 2 yards inside the box. Shots, but Nani is already sliding towards the net, and he's in an onside position. And the goalkeeper is already sliding to stop the cross shot by Cristiano Ronaldo on his right side. Guess what? Nani touches it, goes to the left of the goalkeeper where there's nobody left. So it's an open net goal. 2-0 Portugal. And they were able to hold on. They were able to suffocate the service to a Ramsey, to a Robson Canu, to a Bale. The best opportunity for Bale were like from 30 yards out. And his best chance for Wales was that shot from 30 yards from Bale that the goalkeeper, Flores, had no trouble at all stopping. So when you're able to suffocate the threat offensively of your other team, defensively you play good and you surprise everybody because you're not necessarily having the best backline, but you played organized and were able to galvanize the troop, quote unquote, to take care of the absence of a Pepe, because Pepe, maybe the captain or the soul of this defense, forfeit before the game, saying, "I'm not playing today. I'm injured, and I won't be available." Where did that leave the backline? Where did that leave Ronaldo or the rest of Portugal? They didn't go like, they didn't feel bad for themselves. They just rolled up their sleeves and worked and got a win. Now Portugal got their ticket for the final of Euro 2016. The other game is today. Quite possibly the game of the tournament, or it could be a dud. It could be when you have big powerhouse like this facing each other in a pressure-filled environment. It doesn't get more pressure than that. Semi-final, home soil, France. Going to beat Germany to get a ticket to the final of their tournament on their home soil. Germany, a team that looked good, going and growing in confidence and in form during this tournament and looking better and better each game that goes on. Won't have Gomez. Couple other doubtful players for today. You do have to realize that it still took penalties to beat Italy for Germany. France had a different type of opponents than all the other teams so far. We haven't seen France tested to the point that it's going to be right today. Can France be able to test and win that test outright at the beginning with Germany? Can France replicate the moment of brilliance we've seen from a the Grizz, Tony Griezmann, or a Dimitri Payet? Can they replicate those moments of brilliance? Will a Gignac come in as a super sub with energy and put a couple past the keeper Neuer and change the story? Will Giroud, which people are still like, Giroud has a lot of daters, but I guess it's because he plays for Arsenal, would make sense. But the doubters are still loud and clear. He can today, even though he did a great performances in the quarters, setting up 2 goals for Greece. Giroud could make sure that his haters eat crow today by scoring a couple past Neuer. Those are all possibilities. A Thomas Muller could score against Loris. This game has a lot of possibilities, a lot of upside. Could be a dud. We've seen that in this tournament. But the fact that you have to go for it because, Portugal, which is a defensive team, went on the offense a couple of times yesterday, got a couple of goals and win the game. Wales were a little bit more defensive than they were the rest of the tournament. And guess what? They didn't score. They didn't win the game. Still have a feeling, even though this tournament has been cagey, tactically defensive, going forward, going after the ball, and trying to get that ball between those white pipes still is the goal of that game. It's still, for me, the way to win games. And it's still the key, I do believe, in this tournament to win the whole damn thing. Look at the defensive team. Yeah, they're all gone. Portugal, Germany, and France left. France has the opportunity to get it to a final of a home plate tournament once again. To have a new generation to look upon as models and heroes for the future of the country, of the soccer of this country, of France, for the France Football Federation. When you look at players like Griezmann, Payet, they're new names for the new generation. They're the new Zizou, the new Trezeguet, the new Henry. It might be a little early to anoint them, but that's the possibilities that they do have. That's the upside. That's the talent, the skills. Griezmann will be for one of the best clubs in the world one day. And one-on-one, outside of Messi, I don't know a lot more clinical finishers than the Grizz in this game. That includes Ronaldo and all sorts. I might take the Grizz one-on-one with the keeper if Messi's not available. That's the type of confidence and the type of clinical finishing skills that the Griezmann has 1 or 2 opportunity against Germany today, and France scores. It's a different game. Germany could be the same, but Gomez was one of the best players for Germany in this tournament so far, and his absence today will be missed. Yes, it'll be evident that he's not playing, not there. But because Germany is Germany and their depth is pretty big, even though they don't have an outright striker, there's a Götze, there's a Muller, there's other players that can step up and play that position effectively. So I do believe that for a team like Germany, just the absence of Gomez is not like the worst case scenario, something they have to adjust to. But for France, it's just enough to give them maybe the confidence to look, they don't have their A lineup. We do. Let's just go after that game and let's just go and win. And I do have a feeling that this is how France is approaching this game today at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. It's going to be awesome. And I'm going to be a nervous wreck. So we'll take a small break and we'll come back. And once again, lines are open. Give us a call.
You are listening to SPN Radio, powered by the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit sportspodcastingnetwork.com for more.
Give us a call. Studio line 778-400 SPN1. That's 778-400 SPN1. Give us a call right now. Lines are open.
And we're back.
Oh, I'm back.
Kevin Laramee here. Duane Rollins is on assignment today. Mercato, or the transfer market in Major League Soccer, opened Monday. It's been quite an interesting rumor. Apparently, a player from the New York Red Bull is being shopped around in Major League Soccer for a potential trade. This player, if you go back a year, 18 months ago, was one of the players that were talked about more. Last year of Mike Petke as head coach of the Red Bulls New York, this player was one of the best players, if not the best players in this team. Lloyd Sam is being shopped around in Major League Soccer, trying to find him a new home. Which team could benefit from a Lloyd Sam? I have a few opinions about that. If you're looking at teams with injury problems, there are two of them north of the border that could probably use a player like Lloyd Sam. Otherwise, if you're looking at other teams in trouble, like Orlando, Chicago, might not look sexy for Lloyd Sam himself, but might be the type of team that he needs to go to have like full measure with them, full influence on this team to be able to right the ship. If Lloyd Sam goes to Orlando in that type of situation, he has now the football IQ needed with his athleticism, with his skill, with his footwork to be more effective. It's a shame that the way this team plays has changed to not involve him as much into the run of play and into the offense of the Red Bulls. The SWPs, BWPs of this world taking care of it yesterday in a friendly against Club America. They won 2-0, and you saw bike by SWB and all that. A bicycle kick, yes. In a friendly for Red Bulls against Club America. And it's it was mostly a reserve type of team for New York. They were playing with Duval, I think the only regular player for New York City, for the Red Bulls that was starting that game against Club America. Friendly Club America are between seasons right now, and they're getting ready to start the Champions League later this fall in August, same for the Red Bulls. But if you're looking at Lloyd Sam can become a nice, attractive Major League Soccer veteran presence for a team in dire straits. And guess what? There's a couple of teams in dire straits in the Eastern Conference. I wouldn't be surprised though if Red Bulls are trying to ship him on the west side of the standings, because you don't have to play him as often. And Lloyd Sam can come back to bite you where the sun don't shine. So that is always interesting to see, because you don't want to get the player score against you. Yes. On MLSsoccer.com yesterday, an article was published by Matthew Dole, the armchair analyst. It's his mid-season awards and best 11. Let's go through right now his MVP, Young Player of the Year, Defender of the Year, and Keeper of the Year candidate at midseason. Again, that's on MLSsoccer.com. Armchair Analyst, Mid-Season Awards, and a Best 11. For the MVP, number 5 position, he is slotting Sebastian Giovinco. I have to agree, he would have been higher in that list. Same for Nacho Piatti if both team weren't in a rut for the last month and a half, if not 2. 4th position, Sasha Clichan of the New York Red Bulls. 3rd position, Mauro Diaz of FC Dallas. Diego Valeri, always a contender, even though Portland is outside looking in right now for the playoff conversation. Diego Valeri's presence, his influence on game, still makes him an MVP candidate year in, year out. But obviously, in 2016 so far. Top of the East, most influential player in the results of his team so far in 2016. David Villa is the MVP, according to Matthew Doyle in the first half of the 2016 season. If you look at the Young Player Award, young players, usually it's under 24. Jack Harrison from New York City FC, fifth. Harrison had a great game a little more than a week ago with a goal and an assist to give New York the Derby win for the first time. It was blue, and it was because of Jackie. Kellen Acosta, number 4. Number 3 Young Player of the Year, according to Matthew Doyle of MLSsoccer.com. Justin Glad, number 2 from Vancouver, Kukuta Mane, maybe finally able to bloom. And number 1, Cal Laren. Cal Laren of Orlando Soccer Club, Canadian National Team International, future savior of soccer in this country. No pressure, kid. But Cal Laren is, according to Matthew Doyle, the Young Player of the Year in the first half of 2016. And it's hard to argue because there's nobody else really going with it. So that's how you have to look at it. This Defensive Player of the Year so far in 2016. And there's names that are not there, but it's because of either injuries, because of either the sample data is not there, or like Laurent Simon has been gone for a month. So you get into oblivion and people forget about you. Yeli Van Dam, number 5 for LA Galaxy. Rosenberry, number 4. Glad again for number 3. Defensive Player of the Year. Glad is really making a name for himself in 2016 defensively. He's young still, but in the conversation for maybe Defensive Player of the Year, at least for the midseason awards. We have Drew Moore of Toronto. Drew Moore is the one player that changed the look of this defense. And yes, they might not have been scoring the same as last year. At least they're not conceding the same as last year. So Drew Moore is number 2, according to Matthew Doyle, in the Defensive Player of the Year. And Sam Cronin, the Crow Ninja, according to Matthew Doyle, is the Defender of the Year for the first half of 2016. We have as well Goalkeeper of the Year. Couple of names: Clint Irwin, number 5, Toronto. Andre Blake, my discovery, my man, my pick that I found, like the young kid that caught my attention so far in 2016. That's Andre Blake of the Philly Union and Jamaican International. Have a feeling he's not going to stay with the Union long. Like next year's probably going to be somewhere else. They're going to sell him for money, and maybe more than we expect. Andre Blake has a lot of upside to him. Nick Raimondo, goalkeeper of RSL, classic of the best keeper conversation. He's always one of the best ever. You know, when you have Nick Raimondo, he's always in the conversation of, maybe not the national team all the time, but the way he does passes, the way he gives the ball to the forwards easily on restarts of games. He's got the ball, and there's videos on YouTube. Just right, Nick Raimondo launches a striker. So you see Raimondo, the way he hits the ball, he doesn't hit like a looping ball. No, straight like a missile, straight to his forward. Forward controls the ball, puts it down, goes on the run, and sometimes he scores. This is classic Nick Raimondo, number 3. Bilvis Warmade, the number 1 goalkeeper of the year, according to Matthew Doyle of MLSsoccer.com. David Bingham is the number 1 goalkeeper, according to Matthew Doyle of MLSsoccer.com. You know, it's interesting choices. They are new goalkeepers that cemented themselves in 2016, but it's still mid-season award. Things are still have time to change. Best 11 of Matthew Doyle for 2016 so far. The positions are a little bit weird, but it's still trying to fit everybody else forward. He decided to do a 4-3-3. So you have Bingham, the goalkeeper, Rosenberry, Glad, Moore, and Roland Matarita as the backline. Defensive midfielders, Cronin, Diego Valeri, Mauro Diaz. Forwards, Giovinco, Villa, and Piatti. Imagine those three guys playing together up top for a team. Jeez. Bring your popcorn because that's a show. That front line of Javinko Villa Piatti, yeah. If you get that in a real game, it's called the show. It's called bring your popcorn, raise the volume, sit back, and enjoy the show. Because Piatti, Villa, Javinko in a, yeah, that's called like top class. I will take this any day, any day. What's your thought on the Armchair Analyst Mid-Season Award? You can give us a call right now, 778-400-7761. That's 778-400-7761. Or give us an email, sportspodcastingnetwork@gmail.com. You can give me a follow on Twitter at KEVLARAMEE. You can always as well follow the network to never miss a live show, never miss any podcasts that are published. It is always published on the Twitter of the network and the Facebook of the network. So facebook.com/sports podcasting network and at sports pod net on Twitter. You're listening to Soccer Today on SPN Radio. You can find the on-demand version of this very show on iTunes, Stitcher, Feedburner, Podbay Player, Podbean, anywhere you get your podcasts under the Sports Podcasting Network feed. Subscribe to our YouTube page to make sure you never miss a live show talking about soccer today, the MLS postgame show, open lines after dark, 5 rings daily during the Olympics. Make sure you subscribe and give us a follow on Twitter at SportsPodNet and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Sports Podcasting Network. And we're back again. This is Kevin Laramee on SPN Radio. This is Soccer Today. Go to sportspodcastingnetwork.com to find all your favorite audio podcast of sports. Last night came out Scuderia F1 Pod, the latest one that reviews the Austrian Grand Prix and the whole drama-filled last lap that saw Kimi Räikkönen take out Lewis Hamilton in Turn 3. To see Lewis Hamilton win and close that gap to 11 points. So listen to Scuderia F1 for all your detail analysis and race reports. If you are a big supporter of the network, you're a fan of what we do, and you would like to feel more involved, feel like you're making a difference, feel like you're changing the life of someone, well, you can. Go to patreon.com. Go to patreon.com/sports podcasting network. $1 a month, $2 a month. Anything helps a lot. And another way you can help the network grow and help us achieve more with what we do is non-financial. Talk to a friend. Tell a friend about the show. Tell a friend about the network. Tell a friend how more fulfilled his life will feel once he gets some SPN in his system. That's what we do for you. And that's what we will continue to do for you. And to do so, we do need a little bit of your contribution. So you can do so on patreon.com. That's patreon.com/sports podcasting network. Thanks for listening to Soccer Today. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. with the review of the second semifinal of the Euro between France and Germany today at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. on SPN Radio, Soccer Today. And until then, my name is Kevin Laramee for Duane Rollins, who is on assignment. Have a great soccer. You were listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit us, sportspodcastingnetwork.com.